Happy birthday, dear Naya.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you.
That is Naya, my niece's little baby girl. I call her Buggy. So when you hear me refer to Buggy, that is who I'm talking about. My name is Jules. Welcome to the Jule Box Studios, and today we'll be working on a project that I did for her first birthday. I'm excited that you're here. If you have any questions, please leave those below. I'll have some product links and detailed pictures over on my blog at thejuleboxstudios.com. So let's get into the video. Some of you guys know that I use PicMonkey for a lot of my graphics. So here I'm starting with a outline of a onesie, which is the theme for this first birthday invitation. I'm just going to crop it and make it fit onto this layer. And I did a little chart of different fonts that I think that I want to use for this particular invitation. So I just kind of am going to set it there so that I can just start typing and see what font I want for what section, what I'm going to want to foil, what I'm going to want to use for like the information and things like that. What I like to do is combine a nice bold font with something simple or thin that's light. I don't like to use all heavy or all light. I like to use a mixture of the two. I just changed this to black so that it is, it does print blanket. I don't forget to change it. I didn't want it to be brown. So I'm just going to mess with different things here. I'm going to put a fake address, obviously, for the sake of this video. I just wanted to have something there. I know that's slanted, but that's how I want it. On this floral here, this is like a garland. I took out the background and set it on a blank canvas. And so I want to use that on the invitation here. I wasn't sure where to put it at first. But what I ended up doing is splitting it in half and taking out kind of the middle section of those roses there, because those are not the roses that I want. So I just duplicate it and then crop one side, and then I'll go back and crop the second duplicate. And I have them up there, but I think that I'm going to put it behind the word one so that there's just a lot of florals there. And honestly, I don't have a plan. I did not draw this out to begin with. I just kind of go with what I feel at the moment, and then if it looks good and I like it, that's what I keep. So I think I want to do the florals all behind the word one. You'll see me do some on top of the word one, but it doesn't work out for me. Back then, a couple years ago, I wasn't sure how to do certain things, so as time goes on and I practice and I work on things, I learn new tips and tricks. So, but for this one, I'll have the one print directly on top of all the florals at the end. I do pull in this rose, but I think it looks a little dingy. I end up removing that and replacing it with something else. This is a floral spray, like a little wildflower, and I'm just going to dangle it. I guess I want to make it look drapey and full. So I'll just kind of pop those in between the flowers and stuff. Yeah, those I took off. And then I'll just add some other things. I'll just let this go so you guys can just watch. But please let me know if you have any questions about anything. It's kind of time for some color. So I'm going to pull in some gypsophillas that are, I guess they're supposed to be red, but they kind of have a pink hue to it as well, or a hot pink hue. So I'm going to just tuck them in different places. I'm also going to pull in some roses in a little bit and make those or turn them into a pink kind of a tone color and pop those in there too. One of the things I wanted to add here, because it is kind of like wildflowerish as far as the design goes, I wanted to add butterflies. So I found this design and I'm gonna duplicate this times 3. That way I can foil it along with the word 1. I think that it'll look really nice and it'll pop. I just love the shine of foil. I just do. I found this image of, looks like baby's breath, and I took the background out so that I can use it for this particular invitation. But I just love the little, what looks like droplets of pink all over. Let me explain what this means. In order to put foil onto a project, it needs to be printed on a laser printer, and the rest of it that's going to be in color and whatnot is going to be printed on an inkjet printer. So I need to separate it into layers so that in Cricut Design Space I can hide different images so that I can print what I need at the time. Just so that you guys know, I do have a link to a more detailed video on how to add foil accenting to your projects, and I'll link it down below so you guys can refer to that for a little bit more specific explanation. So I'm doing a duplicate on the original so that I don't mess up the original, and then I'll separate it from there, renaming each duplicate to something else once I change it. So after I remove what I need, then I'll go in and change the name of that particular page or layer. I'll go back in and edit to copy, and I'll change the name, top layer of floral, which everything goes except for the flowers that are sitting on top of the word 1. And then the 1 and the butterflies will go. And that is my top layer. I have the onesie here. I'm just going to pull everything else in and I'll start putting it together. Once everything is lined up, and then I can again print it according to the layers that I need. Now this purple sheet behind is a parameters page, is what I call it. That is 6.75 by 9.25, and that's so that I don't make this too big. So once I have these two together, I'll duplicate it so that I can have 4 together. That's probably what's going to fit on that one sheet. And once I have them there, I will go through each layer and I will unsee the top layer of the floral, and that is so that I'm getting it ready to print, but I don't want that to print just yet, as well as the foiled word 1 and the butterflies. So let's print this layer here. I'm going to make sure it's attached and flattened, and I'm going to save it and make it. Oh, this is a sweet, sweet size. Now that just printed out of the inkjet. Now I'm going to put that piece of paper into my laser. I'm going to go back into Cricut and I'm going to unsee what I just printed and just print off the 1 and the butterflies with the laser. It printed and it looks nice. The thing is that the 1 is way too low. I'm going to try and print it again, but I'm going to move the word 1 up past the florals and then see how that prints out. So now for me, this happens almost every time. It may just be because I have 2 very inexpensive printers, but I like to mess with it a little bit, and I can normally in like 1 or 2 prints get it aligned where I want it. So I'm just scooting it up just a little bit here. And once I think it's where I need it to be, then I'll go ahead and attach them again to make sure that they stay. And then I'll make it again so you guys can see what it looks like. Oh, it's still a little too high. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can mess with it later because I still have to go back and change the address on here. And that is the same layer as what the bar and all these florals are. So what I wanted to see is if I can get the last top layer of florals to sit on top of these. I just don't know how it's gonna look. There was a way to do this. I just didn't know how to do it when I was doing this almost 3 years ago. So let me show you what happened. Okay, here comes the moment of truth. Oh, it's printing on a different spot. Yeah, it didn't do it. Oh man, I really wanted this to work. Okay, so this is what happened. That top layer of flowers dropped down to down here. I have to like mess with it to bring it up to the top. I'm just not gonna do that. It's just gonna be too hard to do. I mean, I'll probably just move the word one, but the little florals that go on top, I'm probably not gonna. I think I'm gonna go back to Pick Monkey. I'm just gonna set this with a regular bouquet and leave that alone. So it's not gonna work. I am just gonna do the foil of the one on there, and then you can see all of the rest of the florals behind it. I think that'll be okay. All right, back to the drawing board. So in order to do this, I'm gonna grab the word one and I'll drag it all the way up so it's the very, very top layer. And that's it. So in the mail, I did get, I asked Alyssa for some tool. This is the tool that she bought to put around the tables and around the high chair. And so I just wanted to show you guys what it looked like and the three pinks together. There's a lavender in there somewhere. So I went ahead and foiled all of the invitations after I've got them aligned. All I did is cut strips, and I cut them in a rectangular way where it will cover the word one and the butterflies, so that all I had to do was just sit each little square on top of each invitation. So that's what I'm doing here. I always use a piece of copy paper on top. That just kind of helps them to stay put. It does add an extra layer for the heat to go through, so I make sure that I run it through twice if it doesn't seem like it's foiling well. But it typically does okay for me. Oh my gosh. I'll show you closer up. I have the address showing, so you guys understand. There's my mink. I just run it through. Right now I think it's on 3. All right, let's have the Cricut cut these out. So I'm using some twine. I think it's like a macrame type of twine. But I'm just going to be making tutus for these. I think they're so adorable. So I cut all of that tulle into strips, and I literally made tutus with these. Alternating the colors, of course. I later added in white tulle to kind of soften up the colors. You can see my piles back there. But these came out, I mean, it was super detailed, and I tend to like to do like detailed things on my invitations. So the tutu was no exception. It was something that Alyssa wanted, and I did it. I loved this project. So I don't cut them like as far as like the length. I don't cut it until I have already attached it to the onesie. So I'll show you guys that later. But I just cut enough twine so that it will fit and tuck behind the onesie, because I am going to do a matte in a hot pink for it. That way it has I have some place to hide that twine. So I have a lot of the tutus done, and this is the cardstock I'm going to be using to create the mats for the onesie, because it matches the tulle, the foil, this ribbon. Now I'm going to show you how I created that background mat. In Procreate, I went ahead and pulled in the original template, and I actually drew in a matte background for it. Now this is not necessary. This is something that can be done in Cricut Design Space. I just didn't know it when I was making this piece for this invitation, but I figured it out later on for other things in this ensemble. In Procreate, I just drew it in, and then I hid the original and I filled that in. So I'm going to bring that in as a cut image. Now because it comes in pretty big, I do have to size it and set it behind the original onesie that is the size that I am already using. So I'm going to size the mat according to what I want as far as the width and the thickness goes. See, there's the offset button. I didn't realize it. Anyways, you live and learn. So there is the 12 by 12, and I'm just going to layer the size that I've already chosen and just layer it onto the 12 by 12 so I can get them cut out. So this cut out the perfect size. I love the width of the matte up against the white. Now I'm just gonna create one of these and glue a tutu down it to see how it looks. Just using some hot glue. And what the tutu does is cover the information so it doesn't show. I thought that was a cool idea because I didn't want it, you know, it's a private event, so. And then we'll get a mat put on there. And then I'll start assembling all of them. Now I'm going to be using a combination of double-sided tape and my ATG gun. Now I've had this ATG gun for about 15, 16, 17 years now, and I cannot find them for sale. I could a few years ago and I couldn't anymore. So there are other versions and I will link one below. And then the double-sided tape I get from either scrapbook.com or on Amazon. So now I'm going to cut the little tutus just so that it sits the length that I want, just at the very bottom of the onesie. Okay, let's make these cute little bows with a fork. Okay, we're going to go around the back of the fork into the first slit, going backwards, coming back around to the front to the first slit on the right, all the way around the left to the front, crisscrossing with that tail. Okay. Then we're going to take the end there, go into the very middle slit of the fork, underneath everything, up, over into the middle slit again, over everything to the front, and then we're going to tuck that tail into that last loop that we just made. Once you have it in there, you want to pull it tight and create a knot. Once it's tight, then you can pull it off. So I made these so that I can put them up on the top part of the onesie like a little barrette on a little girl. Also, I made a lot of extra one of those, and also in light pink. Those are going to be the, like, quote-unquote little confettis that I'm going to put down on the table. But they're looking super cute, just like I had envisioned. Alright, so I'm going to make this little banner here with a square or rectangle and an oval. Put them together and then start adding circles, or yeah, little circles to the ends of them. It took me a little bit of time because, you know, I had to make sure that the spacing was just right. So I just duplicated that and flipped it so that I can use it on the other side. And there's still some space there, so I had to kind of mess with things. But I got it. These look a little bit bigger, obviously, and I end up making the square and the oval a little bit bigger to make it fit my scallops. So this is yeah, this is how I made it. I don't know any other way to make it, and I couldn't find one in PicMonkey, so I had to make my own. So I'm going to add this one on there, and what I'm going to do is give a distinction with the banner that's going to lay on top, because this is going to go in 2 layers or 3 layers. It'll be that blue area, it'll be the whole piece with the scallops, and then it'll be the whole print of what is going to be printed on that first layer. Now I'm just going to make it pretty and add some florals to this. Now obviously I'm making like a set of things for this ensemble, so I do want to keep it cohesive with the same flowers, same design, same fonts, things like that. So you'll see that throughout all of the pieces that I make. Alright, let me just change the colors back, and that way you can get an idea of what it's going to look like once I'm done with the actual paper product. I brought everything into Cricut Design Space, and I'm gonna just put everything in how I want it, and then I'm going to attach everything together. Okay, I'm gonna hide everything and just do the base. I'm sorry I don't have footage of when I did this and cut those out, but when I did, I went back in to do this layer, which is the inside banner with the print. and got that printed out. And then I go back in and then I put in the word 1 so that I can foil that. And here, let me show you what it looks like. So I have all of those butterflies, if you notice there. I have 2 sizes. I did make those as well. I'll show you here in just a little bit. Using that same butterfly design that I used for the invitation, I'm just going to enlarge just the one and bring it over to Design Space. Now I'm using the offset. So I'm using the offset and creating a little mat to go behind it. Actually, it's not a mat, it is a background. It is going to be one solid piece on one piece of paper. I will not be putting another, like the butterfly cutout on top of another piece of paper. Of course, it is going to be quite a bit on the parameters page, but I do make those at 1 inch. So I'm just going to line these up from the bottom to the top. I'm going to hide that sheet and align these. That way they're nice and even. I'll attach it and then I'm going to duplicate these, I think times 4 or 5, something like that. How many ever I can get to fit on the parameter sheet. That's what I'm going to do. Oh yay, one more can fit. I'm going to go ahead and align it again. You don't really have to do this because Cricut Design Space will like make it all fit. But still, it looks really nice when it's all aligned. So now we're gonna take that little square off the parameters page and we're going to attach it, flatten it, save it, make it. And there they are. Now I just cut a sheet that will fit over the entire butterflies, being careful not to have the foil go over or on top of the parameter lines because Cricut, the machine, needs to read those. But this is so satisfying when I peel it off. My goodness, look at this. All right, we're gonna get those cut out and then I can use them. Aren't these just the cutest? I just love the fact that I can just lay them on the table as confetti. It's just fun to have those. Okay, for the cupcake toppers, I'm going to use the onesie shape again, but I want to use the number 1 as like the part that I'm going to foil. And they're going to be small. They're going to be about 2.5 inches tall, something like that. But I'm going to go ahead and lay this in the background. And then the 1 will take the majority of the space inside of the little onesie. So I'm going to switch this around. I'm going to use that solid line that's transparent throughout, and then use the white solid background and then set that outline on top of it. I think for me is more because the black line is more defined and it's more bold than the template that I had on there before. All right, now come the florals. This is that same little floral spray wildflower that I dangled across the invitation. That's to kind of like fill in some spots to make it look like robust and full. So I'll just set those behind the 1. I'm going to arrange it first on top, but then I'll set them behind it. I'm going to add the same butterflies that I used on the invitations. I think it just kind of adds to it being cohesive. Like they all match, they're a set type thing, you know? All right, back over to Cricut Design Space. I'm going to go ahead and just do the separation of layers and then print it out. And as I've done before, I'm gonna cut out a sheet the size of the area where all of the 1 and the butterflies are, being careful not to cover the parameter lines. That is super important because then the Cricut won't be able to cut through them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it all foiled, and then once they come out there, I mean, they just look so great. Oh, they're so pretty. All right, then we'll have the Cricut cut it, and it doesn't have a problem with the shine of it. It doesn't act like it's bothered by it. So, All right, so I'm doing the mats for these as well, just like I did the invitations. I'm just going to line it up and cut them out, and there they are. They look so cute. And just add them onto all of the onesies, or add the onesies to the mats. Remember those butterflies? Yep, I'm gonna add one to each and every one of these. Now I did do two sizes, I think I mentioned before. There's a larger butterfly and a smaller one. I'm adding smaller butterflies to the onesies here. So I found that Cricut Design Space had the Serenity font, and I was like, maybe I can just make this topper from inside of Cricut Design Space instead of using PicMonkey. So this is what I do. Just using that font, spelling it out, I am going to enlarge the first letter of each word and then just scoot some of the letters around to where they fit what I want. I kind of want them to be kind of all connected, and that way I can kind of pull that whole piece off in one piece. And then I will do on dimensionals. Not only this background will stay on there, but I'll do it on dimensionals as well, and the first will be foiled. So grabbing that, I'm going to go ahead and do the offset, and I do two of them because I do want a background behind the wording, not this thick. Then I want a main base to it. You'll be able to see it here in just a second. There's one, and here is a second. And you'll see it better once I get everything cut out, but that's kind of what I want right there. I'm just gonna size this up so that I have this like first part. I can cut it separately so that I can foil it, and then on dimensionals put it on top. So I've grouped this together and start an offset for this one as well. And I think I use the same dimensions because I don't want it to be super wide where it's going to cover the Y and the B. I'm going to come back and get that one, or the first, printed and cut, foiled and all of that. And then I'll show you guys what that looks like here towards the end. But what I want to do is just make it just a tad bigger than what is on the actual piece. One thing I wish I would have done is add a little bit more florals to this, but for next time. I talked to Lisa yesterday for a little bit, and she told me that she's doing cheesecakes and some cupcakes and cheesecakes or something. So she's like, oh yay. So when I told her I was doing the toppers. So basically they're gonna look like this. They're so cute. So basically I'm done. This is for Naya's high chair. This sign is gonna go just behind the flowers or just underneath these flowers. Oh, I just thought it would work really good. And Alyssa asked me to make some hair bows. This is 7/8 of an inch, and I used a little strip of the satin ribbon, and I folded them in like halfway, each edge halfway, and just wrapped it around just to give it a nice clean front. So I will probably do a felt to attach the little scrunchie for her hair. Either these will go in her hair and her little space buns, or these two. This is 1.5 inch wide ribbon. So I don't know, it depends on what Alyssa wants. I'm gonna take both of these. So I've had post offices telling me that I can't mail in the clear bags just because it's hard to put postage, like to stamp and all that stuff. So my fix for that, because I was doing, we were doing plastic bags and we were putting cards on the inside with the address and stuff, but it's still kind of hard for them to stamp it, and I get that. So I felt like what could fix it would be still putting them in the clear bags, but I put postage label paper on the outside front of the envelope. But they'll just put the to and then from label, and then the postage can get stamped up on that corner. And I think that will probably fix the problem. And I'm not going to close them right now because Lisa wants to put in some confetti inside of it. So I left that for her, left them open so she can do what she wants to do with those. So I just wanted to share with you guys my project. So again, I did 30 invitations. I did about 36 cupcake and cheesecake toppers, some confetti type things for the table, a cake topper, hair bows, and then the high chair banner. That's my project for today. Thank you so much for watching. Head over to my blog for some detailed pictures and for product links. And you guys have a great day. I will talk to you later. This is Jules coming to you from the Jule Box Studios. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.